our linear way of thinking, our minds are set up to understand logic from finite variables. We cannot relate to infinite quotients. You see, in our math, 1 minus 1 is 0, but in eternity, 1 minus 1 is 1. Infinity minus infinity is still infinity. And so there's always a struggle, a juxtaposition of when you're trying to relay the truth of how it is from the eye of eternity, to give you the coordinates to a space called eternity, when you're stuck in a linear frame of mind, where you're stuck in a polarity frame of mind. There's good and there's evil, there's light and there's dark, there's tall and there's short. So therefore, in order to express eternal truths within a linear polarity-driven consciousness, you have to give coordinates. And the coordinates usually relate to a thing, what it is and what it is not. Because from the eye of eternity, there's no polarity. There's no what it is and what it is not. It just is. And what it is actually, I guess, like a radio. There's no volume being off or volume being on. It's a circle. And the knob just goes around from increasingly louder to increasingly lower. Never completely off, because it just gets a little smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, infinitely that way. And so, in our frame of mind, something is either one way or the other, but in eternity, it is a song, it's a frequency, and that frequency can either be played really, really high, or that frequency could be played really, really bass. But it's a singular construct, singular phenomenon. When you're relaying how that works to an individual who's coming from a linear perspective, from a polarity-driven perspective, which is human consciousness, you have to give coordinates. And those coordinates entail both what a thing is and also what the thing is not. Because individuals in the left side of the brain, from their perspective, they learn much better not by knowing what a thing is from within. They know better what a thing is not. And then they start to subtract everything it's not until they come up with this big chunk that it could be. That's the way scientific method works. And as well, for the part of the individual that's right side of the brain mindedness, they want to know a thing from the inside, intimately. It's kind of like Plato versus Aristotle. And so you give them the coordinates of what it is from within, not what it is by knowing what it isn't, but knowing what it is by expressing the intimacy of the thing itself. And those are the coordinates that I relay. I try to cover both what it is and what it's not. And then keep doing it in a circular fashion that is symmetrical, that's not linear in the way it's delivered, so that in the process the individual will lose themselves and realize that it's not two things at all, it's all one thing. And in that frame of mind, yes, you get the coordinates of understanding, but the purpose of what I'm conveying is actually that the words, they just dress the light that's being imparted, the truth, the frequency, the truth that's being imparted. And it dresses it like clothing, the information, and the clothing is very distracting to the ego. And so the light cannot penetrate an individual that sees themselves as separate from all, which is the ego. So what we do is we convey coordinates in sophisticated logical fashion. It subdues the ego to enter into perspective of oneness. And in that perspective, the individual bathes in the music of the higher light beyond the veil. And so the purpose of the session is not the information that's being imparted. That's an ancillary benefit. The purpose of the session is to reunite with who you are from the eye of eternity, and remember and feel who you are. So when you walk forward, you will know what your song is and what your song is not, and choose to learn your lessons through intimacy.